Hello everyone, I'm Leslie and today I'm going to be refuting Tristan's claim. His claim was that alcoholism is a choice rather than a disease. For his secondary claims, he claims that alcoholism isn't fully defined as a disease. Scientific studies shows that alcoholism is a choice. And third, history has shown how alcoholism was a choice back then as well. For his first claim, Tristan states that people cannot choose to receive leukemia, ALS, or epilepsy, but can choose to drink. When stating this, Tristan ignores many other diseases that can be prevented from choosing to do something or not. For example, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, smoking can cause lung disease by damaging your airways and the small air sacs found in your lungs. COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a disease caused by smoking, in accordance to the COPD Foundation website. If Tristan's claim were to be true, then COPD should not be considered as a disease as well, because whoever has it was at fault for choosing to smoke. Similarly, many other diseases such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, are caused because of a lifestyle choice, according to medicine.net. Additionally, with no source citation for the speech from where Tristan got his definition, I went ahead and found them on my own through the Oxford Dictionary. The definition Tristan gives on alcoholism is that it is addiction to consumption of alcoholic drinks. However, as defined in the Oxford Dictionary, the second part of the definition is that alcoholism is the mental illness and compulsive behavior resulting from alcohol dependency. In his claim, Tristan states that diseases are not intentional or from a conscious decision making. However, since this illness results from dependency on alcohol, one is not conscious nor intentional when the consumption of alcohol is in a way necessary. Additionally, he does not state any factual evidence or cites a source in this secondary claim. This leads to the conclusion that Tristan's first supporting claim can be an inference drawn from the definitions given by him earlier in his speech, which were the definitions of disease and alcoholism. For his second supporting claim, he states that scientific studies show that alcoholism is a choice. To support his claim, Tristan cites the experiment by Professor Bruce K. Alexander on rats and their reaction to consumption in regard to social environment. While this source is reliable, the experiment took place in the late 1970s and published in 1981, according to Bruce K. Alexander's website. The information is more than 30 years old, demonstrating how it can be irrelevant and possibly wrong. Even though Tristan tries to explain how rats and human beings can be compared, he dives into his third supporting point, giving explanation of the history of alcohol consumption, which does not provide a factual evidence of rats and human beings being alike. His ideas fail to connect, and there is no sort of experiment, statistic, or real explanation of how humans behave similar to rats. For his third claim, Tristan states that history has shown how alcoholism was a choice back then as well. This supporting claim is more of an informative piece. Although he tries to make a connection, there is no factual evidence to back it up, nor sources cited, which diminishes the arguer logos, leading the audience to not be able to form a logical conclusion on the relation of consumption then and now. For my conclusion, I would like to add that in researching, I found that addiction, according to the American Society of Medicine, addiction is a primary chronic disease of brain reward, motivation, memory, or related circuitry. According to alcohol.org, an American Addiction Resource Center, chronic disease means it cannot be cured using medicine or prevented through vaccination. Alcohol.org also states that alcoholism is an addiction. Therefore, it is classified as disease, meaning that because alcoholism cannot be cured through medication or prevented by vaccination, it is a chronic disease, classifying it as a disease as a whole. Thank you.
All right, all the structural stuff is pretty solid. The first point, I like the analogy that you draw to other diseases. That's pretty straightforward. You suggest that the way he's reasoned is ignoring pretty important examples that show the exact opposite conclusion that he's arrived at. And your definition that comes from the dictionary also seems to suggest another link to the classification of alcoholism as a disease. I thought that was fine. So we got a clear explanation of your reasoning on that first point. That was pretty effective. On the second point, I mean, you remind us that the second point was, basically based on a rat study and is 30 years old. You don't really make a claim that says that there's anything wrong with studies based on rats or that the age thing matters. You just suggest vaguely that there might be something that has changed in the last 30 years. I'm sure that there's a lot of research on addiction and the effects of alcohol that has come out in the last 30 years that would have been able to help you have a little bit stronger response on that point. As it was, I'm not sure how critical it was in the general argument. I think the first point's a little bit better since this is mostly a definitional claim anyway. And then on the third point, you have a slightly different definition of what constitutes a disease, and you talk about a chronic illness. I'm not sure chronic illness and the disease are the same thing. You kind of talk about how we can't address this with a vaccination or with some kind of medication to cure people of it. So it fits into that category, so that's the kind of thing that makes it or would allow us to classify it as a disease. I understand that argument, and again, I think that there's some additional information that could have made that argument a little bit stronger, but you did a good job on that point. I thought that was a little bit more forceful than some of the things that you had earlier in the speech. All right, thank you.